Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final word. Sheffield United 0, Everton 1. We're still in the Christmas spirit. Well, we're still in our pyjamas, so that's why we're not in the studio.
Speak for
Well,
yourself.
I'm not.
But yeah,
I'm not actually in pajamas.
no,
You can't.
just
There's
chill.
actually not. I'm not actually wearing anything below this top. Just
Let's
yeah,
move on to the
completely.
game
That's
very
the
quickly.
holiday spirit. Everton
Yeah,
travelling to play Sheffield United. Boxing Day, always going to be a tricky game. Last game of the day, awful conditions. But Everton got through it. Everton got the 3 points. Everton decided not to be the old-fashioned traditional Everton, and went there and got the win. Moved into second place, and hopefully this is the new Everton, Bass.
hopefully. Yeah, listen, it was a tough game, and it was always going to be a tough game, and coming so quickly after the United game and with half a team, it was going to be a difficult challenge. But all that mattered was winning the game, and I kind of knew it frustrates you sometimes because you kind of knew what game it was going to be and what kind of performance we were going to see. And Everton never come out and do the opposite of that and perform much better than you'd expect. But what we did do was we stuck in there and battled it out and stepped it up a little bit towards the end and got the win that we needed.
Yeah, definitely. It was obviously going in with the team we had. Obviously, we found out we had no Richarlison, which was always going to make it a little bit difficult because he's one of our best players, and we know there's that record of not winning a game without him. So already you've got that burden, haven't you? Of whether you like it or not, you know that weighs against you. I mean, I don't know whether players feel like that. I think it's just maybe fans.
It's only 9 games, though, isn't it? It's
but
actually, sure, it's only 9 games.
But
It's
it is.
something that people like to pull out, don't they? But yeah, you're right.
But it is that idea of just getting over that. And I think that's what Everton are starting to do, aren't they? I looked on social media in the day and I seen a lot of people saying, oh, you looked at all the results and all the results pretty much went for us. And people are like, oh, it's going to be typical Everton, Everton that and all the rest of it. Whereas I think one thing maybe what we've seen in this run of fixtures is Everton are bucking that trend. Carlo Ancelotti's bucking that trend. He is such a good manager and has got this squad into a good mental position where it's not really fearing that. And obviously no Richarlison. Tom Davies came into the midfield as well, which I thought was the right move. Someone who could sit in front of that back four and help the core out. And obviously Iwobi stayed in the side. Obviously Anthony Gordon came into the side, which was an interesting choice. What did you think of that?
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was the right call. I'll tell you what I thought of his performance in a minute, but I thought it was the right call to put him in. I thought it was, I'm not going to say brave, because that would suggest that the manager's not brave, and to have won the stuff, he's actually been brave. So, but it was a call that, I think by default, really, that he had to make. Bernard, when he's been given his chance, hadn't really performed. And Anthony Gordon hadn't really been given an opportunity. So it was probably the right call. And like I've said before, he was the one who, when he's playing, or what we've seen of him so far, is the most similar to Richarlison in terms of driving forward. As it happened, he didn't play like that. He played far too safe. But it was the call that I probably would have made, to be honest with you, before the game.
Yeah, and obviously Tom Davies coming in as well was the right thing to do as well. We'd seen on Wednesday night where, our midfield just looked a little bit, well, apart from the core, we didn't really have anyone in there who could put their foot in there. So I thought Tom coming in was the right move. And also using your squad. Holgate came back as well, which again is good because it's saying that we're going for the clean sheet first. And I think that's the mindset that obviously the manager's got at the moment. He's looking at the situation and thinking, right, we get a clean sheet here, we'll win this game. And ultimately that's how it played out, really, wasn't it? the conditions were really bad. You know, everything was seemed to be like Sheffield United hadn't won a game, so that all those things were stacked against us, I suppose, in a way, in our own mentality. And I think that's the thing. Clearly, we've got to break out of, isn't it? It's just that mentality of thinking that everything's going to be against us, when really it's a game of football, isn't it? On a pitch with 11v11.
Yeah, it is. We do have that thing, don't we? Where it's, oh my God, woe is us. With Everton, you know, my dad come round to watch it with me, and he said something early on, and was like, "Oh, it's just typical, innit, everything again." And I was like, "Well, what would you know?" I don't think there's ever going to be a thing where we're like, "Oh, great, Sheffield United have lost 15 home games on the run, brilliant." We'd all be like, "Well, they're going to win this one, then, aren't they?" Or if they've won 15 home games on the run, great, we've got no chance then, have we? And we do it because we've been. It's almost like that thing of trying to cry it in, isn't it? For you, you know, try to make it obvious that things are going to go against you in the hope that the universe goes, actually, no, you can have one back or whatever. But I don't think things were stacked against us. I just think things were set up to be Everton, what we've seen in the past.
It's mentality, isn't it? It's our own mentality as fans of thinking that way, because we you know, the old win this when we go top.
Being burnt.
Yeah, well, it's not even being burnt. It's just
being burnt.
Yeah.
But we have.
Yeah, I mean, burnt. I don't know about burnt.
Could go top maybe not good enough. We could. No, it is. But what I mean is things like, even like last season when Silva was here, you know, we went to Villa. We were playing first. We had the chance to go top. You know, we got beat by a promoted. You know, things like that people have seen before. So therefore, whenever there's a chance to do something, Everton will let you down. If our fans were used to us winning stuff, we'd never think like that, would we? We'd expect to win these games. So
yeah,
it was set up for it not to go well. But Everton had other ideas.
Yeah, but obviously it was a cagey start, wasn't it? Really, it was a cagey start. Both teams dealing with the conditions. Both teams didn't really want to obviously concede, and we were, I wouldn't say huffing and puffing. I thought we controlled the game. I thought Tom Davies was very good in that midfield spot. He had a lot of room. He made some really good angles. He's always willing for a pass to come to him. And I thought with him, he helped dictate the game. Always getting his head up, looking for people like Iwobi, looking for people like Sigurdsson and Anthony Gordon. I just don't think we could get it going because, number one, I think, obviously, when you're playing a team like Sheffield United, you know that they're not going to come out and try and play against you, even when they're at home. They're going to try and play in maybe set-piece moments and stuff. And I just felt like because we did have the full-backs we had, even though that meant it was going to be that kind of game, we needed that little bit of width, especially with having inverted wingers. You know, we know Gordon wants to get the ball and try and come inside. We know Iwobi's exactly the same on the other side. And I felt like just with not having that width, natural width, every time we went inside, they just cut those lanes off too easily. And it meant that ultimately, like we've seen a little bit recently, Dom finds himself isolated. You know, I think we've seen this with Richarlison as well. When he's played, he's found it difficult because if no one's going past him, and the same with Iwobi, if no one's going past them, it becomes hard then to create chances.
Yeah, we're always going to be. You're always sacrificing something when you're losing attack and play from Seamus Coleman and from Luca Dean. You know, they are two attacking fullbacks, so they do want to get up and join in. And that gives you more space then to create. But at the moment, we're trying to preserve our defensive record, aren't we? We're trying to stay in games and hope that we have a moment of brilliance or we do create something. As we move forward, we'll have to be more expansive. We know that. But we're doing what we can do with the tools that we've got. You know, and Richarlison is a big miss, whether he's playing well or not. He's a handful. And people have to worry about him, which normally frees up a little bit of space for Dom. You know, just on Anthony Gordon, he came in and he just didn't do what he's done in the past. Everything was very safe, and I don't know whether that's just because now he wants to show the manager that he can be trusted to like look after the ball. But the thing with wide players is they're the people you want making chances. They're the people you want taking chances. They're the people who have to play on the edge because they're looking to break down a structure. If you then play within that structure, you then just become nothing in the game. You just become someone who just passes the ball off, and most players can do that. John Joe Kenny can do that, as he's proven. He's never going to try and run past people on that left wing, John Joe, but he'll get it and just pass it back, and that's essentially what Anthony did. And Anthony Gordon, you want him to be getting his head down, running players, knocking it past people and going, and he just didn't do it. So therefore, Dom was isolated, and it's tough for Dom. You're knocking balls into him. He's having to win the ball, get it down, and then try to do something with it. Where I thought of Obi on the other side, I thought was quite bright in the first half. He faded in the second half, but I thought in the first half he had a couple of good runs where he went by players like they weren't there. But again, it was just the final ball.
End product, isn't it?
And don't forget, there was a lack of energy as well.
Yeah.
This team's had 4 big games in 10 days, and then had a tough game in difficult conditions against the team who is solid. Sheffield United lost a lot of games, but lost a lot of games by a single goal.
Yeah.
They don't. No one batters them because they don't. Because a good, honest, hard-working team, they're well set out. It's just they haven't got that little bit of quality really in the final third. If they had that, Sheffield United would be halfway up probably. I think they'd be like Burnley or something.
Maybe it takes time. I mean, they splashed 24 million on Brewster, so
he doesn't look ready.
No,
does he?
not by a long shot. No, listen, I was not critical, but obviously when I've done my videos afterwards, my player ratings, people have pulled me up on certain people that I didn't think played well, and they did play well. But like you've just said there, I wasn't personally. I wouldn't have a go at Iwobi, or I wouldn't have a go at anyone who's played any of the games recently, because that was another game, and like tomorrow will be another game, and you can't really have a go at anyone for. All right, Anthony Gordon's in a difficult position because he comes into the side, so on a day like that, and the tactics are already set for that mindset of digging in and making sure we get a clean sheet and then trying to nick a goal. So it makes it tough for him because he hasn't got anyone behind him coming past him. He hasn't got. He's not getting within 5 or 10 yards of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So it's tough for him. The tactics are because of the situation. So if anyone didn't have a good game, I thought Iwobi's end product was really poor. But at the same time, I'm not going to have a go at him because of that. Because at the end of the day, he's played a lot of football in the last few days. And it is tough for people. And it is about grinding out, games like this. We were or certainly I know I was on Wednesday night talking about Manchester United and saying the patience they showed, the way that they kept going to the end, there was no panic, and that's what I felt like in this game. I felt like when you're watching it, you're like, of course you are. You're like, these are bottom, and why aren't we doing this and why aren't we doing that? But in when you look at the whole game, we were really patient in this game. We knew if we kept a clean sheet that there would be that one moment, and could we take it? And we did take it. And you look at players and you look at Carlo Ancelotti at the end and you say to yourself, the job's being done. That was the job. That's what we set up to do, and we done it. And if some people didn't have the greatest games during it, then that's fine, because it's not necessarily about. It's about doing your job. And you're right about Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon probably set out to do his job and not try and do a little bit more. And maybe he'll come off the pitch and maybe the manager put his arm around him and say, you know what, you didn't do anything stupid tonight. Secretly he wants him to do a little bit more. But he might put his arm around him and go, you've done a job for me tonight. Because what you've done is, you've given me an hour there. An hour where it saved somebody else's legs an hour. And we can move on with that now. And I think at this time of year, that's what really matters, isn't it?
Well, he done one job, and then we saw Bernard, who hasn't impressed of late, come on and did impress and offered us something else, then offered us that little bit of you know, a little bit of touch of class that he's got at times, where his touch is good, or he can jink away from people, and he's nice and bright, and it worked well, didn't it? It worked well. We had Gordon was safe and probably didn't do himself any favours. I just thought, watching Anthony Gordon last night, you can't understand why he's not being playing. He's in that difficult moment at the moment where he's too good for the 23s, and he's probably not good enough to be in our team at the moment. So it's that loan territory now, maybe with him, where he just needs to get game after game after game, and build himself up. But he did a job for the team, and like I said, it worked because Bernard then came on and gave us a different option when he come on. So, you know, I thought, like you said, I thought Tom Davies dictated the pace of the game really well. Didn't do anything silly. He's world class at buying free kicks.
That was Tom's best game for a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Because he really did. You know, again, you're asking for guys to come into the side. Alan's out now for, you know, who knows, best part of January.
It'll be 6 weeks.
Yeah, best part of January, isn't he now? He's out for.
Yeah.
If not most of January. So you've got to come up with solutions. And Andre Gomez and Gylfi Sigurdsson aren't really, and Decore aren't really, that's not really the solution. Whereas I thought Tom came in, I thought he was, you know, I thought he'd done well in the Arsenal game. But he come in and he really offered something. He wanted the ball. And it was the perfect game for him because he did have quite a lot of space. But Tom makes really good, like I said before, I think he makes really good angles when he gets the ball. He opens the pitch up. And sometimes that can be dangerous if you're not right on it, or you have got someone pressing you high, because he does like to take the ball on the turn and have the pitch open up for him. And that can be dangerous, because if you get caught in that position, or the pass is not on, you're leaving yourself a little bit exposed. But I thought yesterday, he done that really well, and it did open the pitch up, and it allowed Sigurdsson to be a little bit higher, and it allowed the likes of Iwobi to be on the front foot, and at times he was trying to play nice little clip balls over the top to Dom as well. Didn't always work, but you know, there was a difference to what every time he got the ball. It wasn't just he got the ball and give a simple layoff. He was doing different things, and Sheffield United players didn't always know what he was going to do next.
Yeah, well, you know, played 74 minutes. He had won 8 of his 11 ground duels, finished with an 87% passing accuracy. You know, 10 ball recoveries, which was the most of any Everton player last night. So he did have a really good game for us. He does take that little chance, and your heart is in your mouth a little bit with him. And more so because you don't want him to make a mistake when he's done. It's that thing where he'll do like 6 things, great.
Yeah.
And on the 7th he'll do, and then people will only remember the 7th.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you want him to do. But what he's got an opportunity now to establish himself in the squad as an important player for Everton. Because I think, obviously, when everyone's fit, I don't think he gets in the team unless he can perform at that level every single week. And then he gives the manager something to think about. But what he's got to do is he's got to show the manager he's capable of doing the job. Because if he just becomes a squad player that plays once every now and again and they're unsure about him, how's he ever going to develop as a player? And he's no value to us. So he has to prove that he can come in, do a job, do it well, and people can trust him then. So I think he's had a key moment in his career now, Tom Davies. And it's about putting in performances like he did last night on a regular basis. And I think if he does that, the manager will appreciate him and the fans will start to appreciate him.
Yeah, I mean, when he plays like that, you know, when you hear the nonsense people spout about him being, you know, a lower league player and all that kind of thing, you just look at the way he took care of the ball last night and say, if you have that level of concentration, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Your manager's going to trust you to come in. And that's all it comes down to. Saying it this time of year, it's trust. It's the trust to come into the team and do a job that you're asked to do. Squad's thin. We know that. Players are out. There's a lot of games. And we're trying to maintain the momentum. And it's what you're saying to players is like, we could have 9-10 players today who fully on it, but if you don't do, especially where Tom's playing, You know, where Anthony Gordon's playing the difference. It's out on the wing. You're asking him to do, create stuff. And if he doesn't, it mightn't hurt. It's not going to hurt the team defensively too much. And you've got someone like Bernard to come on who, when Sheffield United were tired, can take the game to them. But where Tom was a real key part of it. And also it means that people like the core who are going to play probably every game, it means like they're not having to do extra work, which is an important thing as well. So
he was all over the place, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he didn't have. I don't think he had a great game,
no,
but he does a lot of stuff off the ball. He does a lot of shadowing and harrying and pressing, and it forces them into errors. So it did work really well that Davis had the ball a lot and the core. And I know we'll disagree on this, which is mad, because normally it's you the other way around with Gylfi.
Go on, say it, go on.
I thought Sigurdsson was excellent.
Right.
I really did.
Okay, I didn't say he had a bad game, right? What I said is that I thought his end product was poor. There's a difference, right? His free kicks were garbage, right? And I just thought, like, in the game, his end product was poor. And I said exactly the same about Iwobi, and I said the same about Gordon. His end product wasn't great. It got that what I said actually got misinterpreted. That's why I couldn't be asked arguing with people on Twitter. I just didn't think his end product. But what I did think is that he's that position. He's starting to, like, where he used to just point fingers and let everyone else do the work. He's starting to do the work now. He's starting to get in between the ball and his own goal, whereas he used to just point to people to do that. He's actually starting to do the leg work that he didn't used to do. Offensively, I didn't think he was great until, ironically, he went into that position, into Tom's position. Because this is the thing. This was what was funny. This was just the weird thing about this game was I give Tom Davis man of the match, but ironically, it was probably taking Tom out the game and bringing Gylfi Sigurdsson in that deeper position that won us the game, because Tom never made that run forward, because we've just said there that kid did his job, but he ain't going to do another job. Whereas those changes were made to win us the game. Gylfi Sigurdsson became that. He said himself, he then became the defensive midfielder. And if you watch the goal, he runs from that deep position. He has an input in the goal earlier on when he's got the ball and he recycles it and brings it back. I think he lays it off to
Coleman.
Coleman, and then he just walks from that deep position and nobody tracks him. And I think that was the difference when he moved there. Tom wouldn't have made that run, because he just wouldn't have. He's been asked to do position. He's going to do that to the letter. Whereas Gylfi Sigurdsson understands the game better. He's got more experience. He's got more ability. And he understands that if he gets himself into that position, something might drop to him. So Gylfi is actually using his head a lot more. He's using that football brain. I remember at the back end of the season before last, when we were talking about him being the brain in the team, and I think that's starting to come back a little bit, where he's now starting to, he's like literally just not telling people what to do. He's just doing it in a without maybe touching the ball a lot of the times. He's clever. He's become a lot more clever in the last 4 or 5 games. Anyway, manager certainly likes him as a footballer, trusts him, and I think where we were scratching our heads before and going, why are you playing? I think we're starting to see what maybe the manager sees day in and day out on the training pitch. Clearly a very good professional. Clearly the manager can talk to him. I think it's been said before, he's been said that he'll make a fantastic manager because he understands the game of football. And maybe just at times it doesn't always connect from his brain to his feet. But I think recently it is starting to work. And like I said about Iwobi before, there's a lot of games. I would never be, at this stage of the season, I would never be critical of somebody if they have a bad game, because not a bad game, sorry, a game where there's not a lot of influence on it, because I just feel like it's about getting through the games and really just doing your job. And I thought Gylfi Sigurdsson did that, and obviously capped it off with scoring the winning goal.
With a bit of end product that you said he didn't have. No. His free kicks and corners are crap. I've got no thingy about that.
They were crap. They're not our crap. They were crap last night.
They've been crap for us.
You've scored a few goals from his set pieces.
Just because a ball's put in, he just puts it into an area. But
hang on, now you're arguing that he...
No, I'm not. I'm not, because I thought his general play was excellent last night. I thought he linked everything up. He was making intelligent runs. The biggest thing, the biggest difference with him in 5 games has been his willingness to work. You just said it before. There was no work rate from him 8 weeks ago. He was just on the pitch pointing.
Yeah.
Whereas now, he's literally ready to walk. You know, he's ready to go and put that extra bit in. He's running around making tackles. And then when the ball comes to him, he's got that little bit of quality. Do we still need better and more mobile in midfield? Probably, yeah. But at the moment, he's really upped his game, and I think it's great. And that's what we want. We want him to up his game. We want Tom Davies to up his game. We want Iwobi. We've seen it from Iwobi of late. Iwobi had been written off, and yet he's upped his game now, and he's becoming, you know, a good member of the team. And, you know, when everyone's fit, those lads are going to give the managers something to think about, and that's what we need. The problem is, when we've lost players this season, and it's been the top players, we haven't had the quality to replace them with, because these lads who come in weren't playing at the level. Whereas we've seen that when Sigurdsson over the last half a dozen games has got better and better, Iwobi has, Tom Davies. So the squad's still painfully thin in terms of quality. We know that. You know, you look at the bench and you're looking at it there going, who else can we bring on here? Cenk Tosun, not really going to do nothing, is he? And Kunku, but he's a gamble because, again, he's only in his first season as a, you know, here. So
yeah,
we do need better quality, and that's where we're looking. But I thought, starting the first half, just very briefly, Dom had made that chance where he'd done brilliantly. He took it on his chest and volleyed it wide. Was unlucky.
Sensational.
Gylfi had whipped one just wide, hadn't he? Iwobi had cut in and had a go, and the keeper had made a good save. Well, albeit he'd expect him to save it, but with good hands. And we'd had the half one where the keeper dropped it and Godfrey shot it Mina. Could have ended up anywhere, but, you know, with totally controlling the first half, you know, they had one opportunity late on in the first half with Ollie Burke, which he put wide. Other than that, we were in total control. And then, you know, the second half, you're right, it might have been patience, it might have been energy levels, whatever it was, but we just kept prodding away.
Well, you know, ultimately, as bad as listen, we've said loads of times, we're not a massive fan of football. At this time of year, the quality is really poor. The games are really poor. It's not going to be helped by having no crowds in. Squads are stretched. I think this time of year always helps the teams at the bottom and the teams at the top. I think that's actually why one of the reasons why, like, I know it's the main reason they love it. TV, it means you can put it on all day for, you know, most of the time. It's great TV ratings because people are at home. But I think one of the other reasons is it is good for the teams at the bottom. Teams at the bottom feel like they can play, you know, negative tactics and we'll pick wins up, and that makes the league more exciting. But it also helps the teams at the top because of the squads. So that's, you know, when you look someone like a Man City game, they'll probably change up like 7 or 8 of their team for our game, whereas we won't be able to. So for us in this game, it was about staying patient. It was about using what we could, and I thought actually that's where Carlo Ancelotti again was brilliant, because you know, Anthony Gordon's on there, and whether people think he's had a good game or not, he's obviously kept them busy. I mean, I actually thought Iwobi and Gordon could have swapped sides just so they could go on the outside. And go on the outside, not always come inside where it was congested. Whereas obviously they're not going to go on the outside too often because they're inverted wingers. So, but Anthony Gordon keeps them busy, and then Bernard comes on, and Bernard offers something a little bit different. He has got that first touch. That means he can get away from the opposition. He's not thinking about it all the time. He has got that experience, and I think him coming on at that moment, Michael Keane, who's not injured. Every Evertonian knew he wasn't injured. This is where pundits and commentators they haven't got a clue. It's like we all knew he wasn't injured. He's played more football than anyone else, so it was sensible for him to come off. And Mason Holgate's going at centre back, and
He was saying he was injured, but he'd just gone on he was ran forward with the ball, laid it wide and got it back, and you're like, you can tell he's not injured.
This is the problem with commentators and pundits who haven't got a clue about individual football teams. Every Evertonian was sitting there going, we know he's not injured. He's going off because he's played more football than anybody else. He'll go off, he gets himself half an hour breathing before he plays again against Man City, and Mason can go into centre back and Seamus can come on. It's one of the only ways we can change things about at this time. Yeah. So it was good from Carlo. We understood they had nothing. Mina was dealing with everything. Mina was brilliant. He was dealing with everything in the air. It didn't need two stoppers like that. And the irony is, when Mason went into centre-back, he won everything in the air as well. So we dealt with it, no problem. And Seamus gave us that little bit of extra something going forward, although he needs to calm down on his first touch, because the amount of times I've seen him lately nearly kick it out, or run it out nearly, but he's finding his feet. I'm not having a go at him, he's finding his feet. But he offered up something, he opened it up for us. And Bernard just either winning cheap fouls or skipping inside and opening the pitch up a little bit. Those little changes, that's where we'd been talking about on Wednesday about the lack of quality coming off our bench and Man United being big. That's probably what Sheffield United looked at last night, where they're going, we're bringing another person called Ollie on, who I probably can't, I'll never be.
Three Ollies.
I don't know who any of them are, but it's another
Ollie.
Yeah. That's the difference. We can bring on that little bit of quality, and that's what opened the game up. And we were sound at the back. Let's be honest. We were. The Owl had the slippers on for most of that game, and it's could we find something else? And I think just the introduction, just Andre Gomez, just maybe a little bit more drive. Gylfi being a little bit deeper, starting to see the pitch open up, and Seamus as well. So and Bernard, they all played their little part in just getting that little one moment to open the game up for a goal.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they were. You were worried about them off set pieces, really. Let's be honest, and you're right. Mina dealt with everything, but for us, you just hoping that we can create that one opportunity. And we'd had a couple of breakaways, and we just made Dom fouling the lad on the edge of the box for no reason. And Godfrey burst through things like that. Yeah. Whereas you're getting them out of jail by doing that. They're running back, panicking. But you were hoping that one would come off. Seamus had had one which the keeper spilt. We'd had another one that was cut back and no one was there. And you're just thinking, can we get one right? And we did. Ball back in, up in the air. Bernard's first touch is beautiful, just to cushion it into the Corey's path. And he's got awareness to see Sigurdsson arriving, and great first touch from Gylfi out of his feet and then back across the keeper, and a lovely calm finish that Sigurdsson was renowned for a couple of seasons ago. And it was a great goal into the corner. That was it then. That was it. Can we just keep what we've got, or will we nick one on the break again and make it 2-0? And we were in control then. And they obviously come on to us like you'd expect them to, but we looked like the team that was more likely to nick one until obviously injury time, when they had a couple of half chances. But the referee. No,
hang on.
Jesus.
Andre Gomez. I mean, there's a Andre Gomez gets caught and it's in the box and it's knee to knee, and literally a minute later, there's a foul on Mina, and there's less contact on Mina than there is on Andre Gomez, and it's just you're just scratching your head. It's just mad. It's just mad. And then where do you get? I tried to stay away from. I know you love some of referees, but where do you get this time from? I will never know. The first half there was zero time added.
Nothing.
Zero time added, right? And in the second half there was 5 subs and a goal. That's 3 minutes, and yet he somehow found 5.5 minutes.
And played well. It was about 6. It was closer to 6 when he blew his whistle. And that's the thing for me.
I don't understand it. And they don't have to justify it. They don't have to say where it came from. It's baffling, and you just, like, obviously for the players are just like, what? I've got to go through this again, and obviously it just ekes out those. They had, obviously the last shot of the game was them putting one wide, but all that needs is a deflection, and it's in the back of the net, and it's
from
nowhere with time where there's no justification for it.
He was just shocking all the way through. It wasn't a difficult game to referee, and it looked difficult. Ollie Norwood done 5 fouls and didn't get booked, and 5 naughty fouls as well. And yet Bernard does one where he's just a second late to the ball, gets booked. Dom gets booked for throwing the ball away. They don't get booked for kicking it away. BT, you're going on about Bernard should have been red carded for the... And you're not talking about the tackle on Tom Davis, which was a shocking challenge, but the referee's too busy going back to moan at Michael Keane, and Davis has been done with a scissor tackle. And you're like, how are you not seeing this thing? And then the Gomez one, I'm sorry. If that's Mo Salah, it's a penalty, 100%. If it's Jamie Vardy, it's a penalty, 100%. If it's Martial, it's a penalty, 100%. It was nonsense. No one in the world could tell me, looking at that, it wasn't a foul. VAR have looked at that. Do me a favour. VAR. VHR. Because it's absolutely not. The people they've got in that box must be blind. They must be, because it was a stonewall penalty. End of story. There was contact. There was contact, and that's all you're here now. Oh, if there's a bit of contact, it's got to be given.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what? So it was a shocking decision, but he was crap all night, Coot. He's a terrible referee. He really is. He makes the most mildest games look difficult to referee when they're not. And he's a clown. The fella's a clown. And luckily for us, it didn't matter, but it was just one of those things. You're right with the minutes as well. 5 minutes. I watched the game the other day. There was 2 minutes. And the referee played a minute and 40 and blew his whistle. And there was 6 subs, and he played 2 minutes. Well, he didn't. He played a minute and 40 last night. 5 subs and a goal. We get 5 minutes and 55 seconds when he blew the whistle after they've had a shot. And you're like, what are you doing? Where's this come from? And until they have no physio, there was nothing. There was nothing in the game.
Yeah, there's nothing. There's no physio on the pitch.
So until they have to come out, no,
it's nuts.
Absolutely atrocious. But we won the game, and that's the most important thing. Results is all that matters. The performances, yes. I've seen people talking about being disappointed on that in our comments on Patreon and stuff, how we played. But I knew what it was going to be like. It's another game where we've played a lot of games. We've got half the team missing. You know, we've got our best front three. 2 of them aren't playing. So immediately there's a drop-off in quality. Our left-back, one of the most creative and best left-backs in Europe, if not the best, out at the moment. Coleman's only just coming back. We lost Alan, who's been ex. So, you know, we've got 4 or 5 players, which would have made a huge difference. So we're not going to be the most creative. But even with those players out, if we'd had a week-by-week rest, Sheffield United haven't played since last weekend. So they were always going to be a bit fresher. We've just played a cup game. You know, big 3 tough games. Then a tough game against United on Wednesday night. You know, and then you're playing a tough game at Sheffield United. So it was just about grinding the win out. You know, I'd be rather sat here going, God, we weren't very good, were we? Second in the league, having won and saying we were fabulous last night and we got beat 1-0. So another big win, another clean sheet. And I'm delighted, absolutely delighted.
Yeah, save all that for other clubs who want to be brilliant but don't pick up results. You know.
Well, Bright, as the time of recording, Brighton have just absolutely battered West Ham and drew 2-2. So, you know, and they're struggling. So that's what it's like. It's you know, teams like that who are creating loads of chances and missing it and conceding cheap goals. Where at the moment, you've got plenty of time to evolve to that. We're a year in. It's a year since Carlo's first game against Burnley, and you know, and we're second in the league.
Yeah, it's about that mentality, isn't it? It's about having that mentality of not being beat. That's what I'd rather have. I'd rather have that all over the pitch. I'm starting to see people like, you know, not starting, but over the last few weeks, we've seen people like Ben Godfrey and you know, Mason Holgate coming back to somewhere near his best of. All right, maybe not being brilliant during games, but just having that attitude that we will not be beaten. You know, you just see the little moments like Ben Godfrey going on that run down the wing, and the lad came in, clatters him, and the lad nearly ends up in the next street because he's been hit by Ben Godfrey. Ben Godfrey just gets himself up and dusts himself down, and he's done his job. It's that attitude.
That's a little snarl.
Yeah, it's just that attitude.
Snarly look. Yeah.
It's that attitude where people are pulling together to get through games. And what I did like about it, as I said, was that patience. And we don't always see that patience in our team. Where we've seen it against us, where it's like, where you're thinking, oh, this is getting, you know, close to the end, and all. There was just that little bit of patience where it was like, we'll get an opportunity in this game because we're actually going to ramp it up now in the last 10 minutes, and we've got better players on the pitch. Because that was the thing in the first half, and I think I said to you early on, I said it to someone, it was like, it looked like early on, like, we didn't want to have a go at them. We just wanted to just stay and do our own thing. And it was like we were being unambitious in a way. But ultimately, if that's the game plan, if the game plan is to stay in the game and nick it, I remember the Newcastle game, Carlo said the same thing, but maybe on that day, the team selection probably wasn't right and we weren't where we are now. But he said on that day, didn't he? He said, I thought we'd keep it tight and then we'd nick it. And obviously it went against us on that day. But we're starting to see that now. And you're right. When the good play... James Rodriguez, for me, now could easily slot in where Iwobi's playing. And I think we could easily just keep doing what we're doing. I know
he's got the cover behind him.
Yeah.
He's got the play. If you put the pieces in place behind the attacking players, it won't affect the structure. And what it'll do is, it's what the best teams have. You look at the, it's going to show me age, but you look at the great Arsenal sides. They had, certainly Wenger's early Arsenal sides, they had that defence that was very tough to break down. And all the attacking prowess was in front of them. Chelsea under Mourinho, they had a great defence. All the skill and everything was ahead of the defence. And you had 4 good defenders and a holding midfielder.
Yeah.
Liverpool do it. They do it slightly different. They have flying attackers, but they're 3 flat midfielders dropping, and the great are keeping, can keep it tight. And that's something that's undone Man City, isn't it? Is that their inability to do that? Whereas, for us now, we haven't got the players Carlo Ancelotti wants. Really, where he's been able to get people in he wants. So, therefore, we just got to get, like you just said, get that mentality of being tough to beat. Hope that Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, James when he's in the side again, or whether it's a Iwobi or someone, has got that little bit of quality to create something that wins us the game. So that when we go into the transfer market next, we can build and bring better quality, and they can fit into this ethos of the team of working that grinds out results. And I just thought, looking back on it, you're not going to get better low-block defenders than Keane and Mina. The pair of them are brilliant sitting on the edge of the box. They head everything away. The other 2 kids at full-back are great. Got a bit of nastiness about them.
Yeah.
And so it's looking good.
Yeah.
And now it's about that. It's about that structure, and it's adding to players in the final third and another midfielder. But it's great. It's absolutely great. And you're right, it was patience, and we've won the game.
And we've built ourselves, we're up to 29 points now. We were saying we could get to 30 points by the halfway mark. We'd be, in a great position for Europe. But obviously we could easily go past that now. So we've built that little bit of room in as well for ourselves, we want to be in and around the European places. So that's fantastic. So we've built that little bit of room in, and we'll just see what happens. But great 3 points, grounded out. A year since Carlo Ancelotti's first win, which was a 1-0 win over Burnley, won late on as well. So everything comes full circle. So I'll take that. Obviously, not much time till the Man City game, but that'll ultimately take care of itself. We'll see what happens.
See who's on the pitch.
Yeah,
that'll be the biggest thing, won't it? That'll be the biggest thing. Trying to get players. There's an argument for almost just putting whoever is in the best conditioning, and just. I mean, the good thing is, if there's any good thing, City played the same time as us last night, 8 o'clock, and so they won't have had any extra rest. However, the caveat to that is they've got a better squad, and fitter squad. But play whoever and then get this out the way, this City game, which you should never be saying about a game when you're second in the league.
No.
We should be looking for this. But then we've got West Ham in 4 days for West Ham, and that's got to be a focus as well.
And then there's a nice little break of 8 days before.
Then there's the break till the FA Cup.
Third in the
third
in the away table as well. Who'd have ever thought that?
Yeah, I mean that's incredible. Won 5 out of 8 away games, haven't we? We've won. Steve sent us something before saying we've won. Half of the away games in Ancelotti's managed, and it took us 55 away games to get the same figure, which is, Mad, isn't it? 50% of the 9 out of 18 away games we've won under Ancelotti, which is incredible, really. So, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So we've just got to keep doing what we're doing, haven't we? And keep it going. And who knows where it gets us to? Second, we'd have bit everyone's hand off for that, wouldn't we? At the time of recording, this was second. So
there you go, another win to talk about. It's all good. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want more great videos, join us over on Patreon. The link will be down there. And also, the Man City preview will be out pretty soon as well, because it's tomorrow and we ain't got much time in between, so these videos will be out fast. So there you go. Make sure you check out that as well. Thanks for watching. See you later.